Happy Monday, folks. Another weekend is come and gone. It's time to get back to the office, back on the grind, and back to another episode of Hornets Daily, your one stop shop for all things Charlotte Hornets. As always, represented by the good people over at FanArc, and I'm your host, Vance Ballard, but you already know you can call me VB. Want to thank everybody out there for joining us today, watching along with us. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment down in the comment section. It is always fun to watch you guys interact down there. Hear some of your thoughts on the show, some thoughts on what's going on in the Queen City as we continue to build and grow this Hornets Daily family here on the program. Couple things on the docket today, returning from the weekend. A little bit of buzz going on in the Queen City. Musa Diabate has made a big decision that could impact the Hornets in a very positive way. I'll talk about that today. The assets acquired in the offseason, those have been ranked. I'll tell you what the top 5 assets acquired this offseason by the Hornets are. We'll talk about that. And we're going to wrap the program up today with a quick trip out to the rumor mill. You know that it stays hot and heavy here this time of year in August, and it did not sleep over the weekend. A new exciting trade, one we haven't heard of yet, has been mocked up, and I'll talk about that to wrap the show up today on the rumor mill. You know, there's one thing we don't do here on Hornets Daily, and that is beat around the bush. We're going to dive right into the program as always. Let's get things started with Musa Diabate and the big decision that he made over the weekend that could potentially have a long-term impact on his national team hopes as well as the Charlotte Hornets going forwards. Musa turned down a chance to join Team France over the last few days. We have found out that news has come out. He was re-invited back out to join the French national team for Eurobasket 25 due to an injury to a player who was already on the roster. But as I have just mentioned, and as I'm sure you've heard over the weekend, Musa turned down the opportunity to go play back in France. He said no, and that he was good going back to France and joining the team for the tournament. Decided he was going to stick around and continue to, or has already switched his focus to the 25-26 regular season, and decided he's going to stick around and continue to work on his game here in Charlotte. Now, the French national coach, the French team, the rest of the higher ups involved in the French national basketball program didn't seem too pleased with Musa in this decision. The French coach actually said, and I quote, "We took note," but it didn't sound like he was saying that in a good way or with much positivity behind it. It does seem that Musa has left a bit of a bad taste in the mouth of the French national team with this decision. But if you're a Hornets fan, you should feel the exact opposite. And I personally do feel that way. I think you should feel very excited about Musa making this decision and deciding to stay here and work on his game with the Hornets for the rest of the summer. Because I personally can only imagine what it must feel like to play for your country, to wear your country's name across the front of your jersey. And I know that is an opportunity that I'm sure Musa has dreamt about and wanted for a very long time. So I can only imagine how difficult it was for him to turn down that opportunity, and just speaks volumes to the level of commitment he's got to the Charlotte Hornets going forwards, to getting better as an NBA basketball player and continuing to develop his game. Now, yes, it would have been nice to see Musa, as we've said before, when he was trying out. It would have been nice to see him on the floor this summer, getting some extra minutes, getting some more experience, getting some more game time against high-level competition. But I think, again, it's worth it for him to stay home and continue to develop his game here. Not only that, but there's a lot of new teammates, a lot of new faces in the building with the Hornets, and now Musa can spend some extra time building a relationship with those guys, understanding how they work on and off the floor, just building a team chemistry. I think that's another important factor to Musa not going back and joining the French national team. Another a good thing that can come from it here for the Hornets. Now, this also lets you know that Moose is very much so bought into the culture change that's trying to happen here in Charlotte. If this wasn't a team worth sticking around for, if Charles Lee and Jeff Peterson hadn't made this culture feel like somewhere that can win or can develop or can get better, then Musa would have easily chosen to go back and play with Team France, where he could develop, where he could get some experience, where he could continue to build his game. But he seems to think he can do all of those things right here in Charlotte, as well as prepare to become a key player, and have a massive role going forward on this Hornets team. I think that again just speaks volumes to the culture change, to the dynamic that Charles Lee and company are trying to bring here in Charlotte, and it seems to be working so far. Another positive, obviously, one of the first things you got to think about is Musa won't be risking an injury, one that the Hornets cannot afford to a big man, as they are already very, very shallow, if you will, at that position. Very thin at the big man position, just Plumlee, Cockburner, and Musa on the roster, as we all know. So him not going out and playing tournament style basketball and risking an injury is another positive thing you can take away from him not going and joining Team France. And again, as I've mentioned, this is just another sign that things are trending in the right direction down in Charlotte. The culture is changing. Guys want to be here. They want to play down in Charlotte. They want to get better and just build further with the team that is around them. I think that's a huge sign going forwards for what Charles Lee and Jeff Peterson and the and company are trying to build down in Charlotte, and how much it is working so far. Now, we mentioned again the offseason assets. We know that the Hornets have been very busy this offseason acquiring picks, veterans, rookies, all kinds of things in different pieces to make this team better, to continue to build for the future going forward. Colin Keene over at Sports Illustrated decided to rank the assets that the Hornets have acquired this offseason. He put them in a top 5 order. Before we get to the top 5, I think one of the most positive takeaways from this list at all is that the Hornets have made the right moves, made enough moves, done enough things to have 5 acquisitions to rank in the first place. Again, that goes back to what I was just saying, and it's just another sign that things are starting to change. Things are going in the right direction. The culture is moving forwards down in Charlotte. Now, those rankings by Keene, he's got at number 1, of course, Con Knipple. That's probably not a big surprise to anybody. Number 2, Colin Sexton. Number 3, Liam McNeely. An interesting one at 4, he's got the 2029 first round pick from Phoenix as the 4th best asset the Hornets were able to acquire this summer. And rounding off the list at number 5 is Ryan Kalkbrenner. Now, not a lot of surprise or anything with that list. Again, that 4th round, or that number 4 spot with the 29 first round pick from Phoenix is a little bit interesting, but I don't think it's a surprise to anyone to not see a name like Pat Connaughton or Spencer Dinwiddie, Antonio Reeves, any of those type of additions on this, Drew Peterson on this list. I don't think it's a shock that any of those guys aren't in the top 5 assets the Hornets acquired, but we do have to remember that they are part of the things the Hornets did to get better this offseason. Now, with that number 1 overall, again, not a surprise, Con Knipple. Of course, he's the number 4 overall pick this summer, so he had high hopes from draft night going forwards, even leading up to that, honestly, because he could have been taken a little higher than 4. I think the Hornets were pretty fortunate that he fell to them. Again, high hopes there from Con. Part of what they hope he can do is be ready to go right away. Not sure if he's going to start opening night necessarily because of the addition of Colin Sexton, guys like Trey Mann, other pieces that have NBA experience. Maybe if the Hornets decide they want to let not rest, but sit down and learn for a little bit, watch and get some experience coming off the bench. No problems there, as the Hornets have done what's necessary to fill that starting 2 role if they need to. But the hope is that Con Knipple can move in eventually and be the long-term answer there at that 2 guard position for the Hornets. As he comes in, we know, bringing a very good shooting ability, a high basketball IQ, even been described as a sharpshooter in his pre-draft analysis in some certain places, and he also has elite playmaking abilities. One of the most attractive things about Khan was his competitiveness. He is the ultimate competitor. He's been praised constantly for his toughness. As we saw, he chose not to sit out after the face cut in the summer league out in Las Vegas. Showed some toughness there, playing through that as well. He also showed flashes of what's to come in the future, of how good he can be in those summer league performances on his way to helping lead the Hornets to the summer league championship One of the most important things about Knipple is that he is a proven winner. He's won at the high school level. He won at Duke. Obviously, they fell short in the Final Four, but he was able to help his team win, and we know that is the mindset. That's the attitude that Con Knipple is going to bring to the Hornets franchise, and they need all of that they can get. Now, moving on to Colin Sexton, number 2 ranked asset by Sports Illustrated. He is a proven veteran with a very good offensive game. He's an 18.6 per game career point scorer. He comes in on the on the back end of his deal on the last year. So if the Hornets don't want that salary hanging around on the books, lingering over their heads, they've made the right move as Colin Sexton will be off the books. He'll be an unrestricted free agent going into next offseason. We all know my opinion of that. I think he's here to stay. I do think he's going to play himself into a deal with the Hornets. But if they don't want to do that, they didn't add any extra baggage, if you will, by making the move to trade for Colin Sexton. He brings another scorer, not either off the bench or to the starting lineup, whichever way he is chosen to be used down in Charlotte. He brings another scorer, some relief, takes some of the pressure off of LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, those type of guys. Those types of guys don't have to feel like they have to do everything now as Colin Sexton comes in. Again, an 18-point per game scorer for his career. He can add some depth, and not just depth, but comfortable depth for if LaMelo does go down again and has to miss some more time. We know Colin Sexton, if need be, could step right in and play that point guard position, fill that role without much of a drop off in terms of performance or abilities or what he's able to do when he's on the floor. We know that Colin Sexton can fill that role nicely. And if he is chosen to be the starter, he can play the starting 2 as well and take that pressure off LaMelo while they're on the court together. If he's off the bench, then he adds a high level of offensive ability to the second unit. Again, wins all around. The addition of Colin Sexton has continued to be praised throughout the offseason and keeps looking better and better as we get closer to the actual regular season. Now, we know that Sexton is an NBA veteran. He's got a lot of NBA time under his belt, but we have to remember, let's not forget, he's only 26 years old. That makes him younger than Miles Bridges, so the addition of that it's not like they added a guy who can't help in the future should the Hornets decide Sexton should stick around. Now, I've told you already, I've said it today, I've said it several other times. I believe that Sexton is going to stick around, but even if he doesn't, just having him for 1 year on this roster is going to impact the short term here in Charlotte in a very positive way. I think he can add a lot of promise to this team this year going forwards and help him improve from last year and get into where they want to be right now, which is in the talks for the play-in, maybe even earning themselves a spot in the playoffs without the play-in. Colin Sexton goes a long way towards benefiting that cause and that mindset, that goal for the Hornets. Now we know the third rank there, as I said, was Liam McNeely, according to Colin Keene. The Hornets were able to acquire McNeely, as we know, by trading Mark Williams out to Phoenix for the 29th pick in the 2025 draft, and then the number 4 ranked asset, the 2029 first round pick from Phoenix. We'll talk about that in just a second. But McNeely is starting to more and more now as we get further into this offseason be considered what is a draft night steal. Now we know a lot of people didn't have him projected falling all the way down to number 29, but when the Hornets saw that he was there, it was a move they had to make, sending Williams out and then going and getting Liam McNeely, a guy who is going to greatly benefit this Hornets team, I feel, in the future for a very long time. He's going to be part of the long-term goal here, right alongside Con Knipple and maybe and guys like LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. Whatever this team decides to build around Liam McNeely is going to be maybe not the central piece, maybe not even the second piece, but he's going to be an important part of that long-term goal. McNeely is got a lot of promise going forward, as he too is a very young player drafted as the Big East Freshman of the Year coming off of Dan Hurley's UConn squad. There was some questions, still are some questions about his defensive ability, his athletic ability. Is he going to be able to keep up with some of the quicker guys out on the wing as they have the ball or are trying to get to their spots. Can McNeely stay in front of them, cut them off, those types of things? He answered some of those questions. Now, again, it was just the summer league, so we haven't seen him yet against top level NBA guys, but he was able to put some of those concerns to rest with really, really standout performances in Las Vegas in the summer league. In the 2 games that he did play, McNeely averaged double figures off the bench in both of those games and was a real bright spot offensively and defensively, showcased an unexpected ability to rebound in both of those games as he was able to grab double digit rebounds in his second performance out in Las Vegas. So McNeely showing some bright spots, showing some unexpected promise as well, just further validating that it was a good choice to move up and grab him. Now, again, he's another young playmaker who can score from all different places, all different levels on the floor, and he brings another very, very high basketball IQ. His competitiveness, his toughness, those are two things. Also, we heard with Con Knipple, those were two things bragged on, raved about by everyone in the Hornets organization leading up to the draft and the selection of Liam McNeely. Those things have only been further proven to be true as both McNeely and Knipple have gotten into the building and begun their workouts, their summer leagues with the Hornets. Their toughness, their competitiveness is exactly what we thought it was, and even more, if we're being completely honest. Now, McNeely is certainly going to be long-term help for the Hornets. I think at some point he will develop into long-term help on both ends of the floor. We know what he brings offensively already. I think his defensive ability is only going to get better working with guys within the Hornets organization as they continue to develop younger players. Outside of Liam McNeely, he'll be on the list as well, and we know the Hornets have gotten better. They seem to be on the right track with their development system as guys who were in it last year, like Salon and KJ Simpson, showed great improvements out in Las Vegas as well. So we know the development system is working. If guys like McNeely can get in that and continue to grow their game, it's only going to benefit the Hornets going forward as well. Now, that 2029 first round pick from the Suns, that was the fourth ranked asset acquired this offseason by Sports Illustrated. We know that too came with the deal to get Liam McNeely. But what makes this so intriguing, especially what Sports Illustrated was saying, is the situation that the Suns are in right now. They are, for lack of a better term, a bit of a dumpster fire out in Phoenix at the moment. Not really sure what direction they're going. Are they trying to win now? Are they trying to rebuild and break everything down? They've got some pieces, but a lot of confusion going on in Phoenix. So even though 2029 sounds like it's a long way away, that draft feels like it may never actually come. Having that pick from Phoenix does have some promise because it doesn't seem like Phoenix will have it figured out even that far into the future, and they'll still be a struggling team with the potential for a lottery or even high lottery pick to come out of this. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to wait until 2029. Other teams understand the value of this pick as well. So if the Hornets decided to package this pick and try to make a move, maybe for one of the big men that we've been talking about them needing to add, if they were to package that pick, then that could be some added value as well. Again, as the rest of the league is aware of the situation out in Phoenix, just like we are here in Charlotte. They know that there is promise with that pick. There's some value in it and some hope that it could potentially be, like I say, a lottery or even a high lottery pick come 2029. So that is another important asset, another smart move by Jeff Peterson as he was able to acquire that pick as well as Liam McNeely in the move with the Phoenix Suns. Rounding off the list, as we told you, was number 5, Ryan Kalkbrenner. We know a little bit about him. We've gotten to see him play now in Las Vegas as well. We're kind of aware of what he brings to the table and what he needs to do going forward to improve and make himself an NBA big man. Now, obviously, he was drafted mostly because of his size and defensive ability. The 7-footer was the 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, so we know he has that ability. We know he's got that prowess in the paint to make it his own, to anchor that spot there, which is something Charlotte desperately needs. One of the biggest questions about him, though, is his defensive ability. Can he keep up with the modern big man in the NBA? Can he get out and play on the perimeter? Can he guard those guys out there? Does he have the footwork to move and switch on pick and rolls? All of those are questions Ryan Kalkbrenner brings with him coming into his first season in the NBA, but it looks like he is working very hard to answer those questions and to show that, yes, he can keep up. Yes, he is quick enough to move around with the modern NBA big man. He does know how to get out and play defense on the perimeter. Now, we know what he brings offensively as well. He's very good around the paint, again, as he is over 7 feet. He's a very good proven rebounder. He's good on both ends of the floor, crashing the glass. But he's also developed a bit of a jump shot. He improved his three-point shooting percentage every year that he was at Creighton, and that's something he's worked on as well throughout the offseason. He has been told, as we know, he was quoted in one of his early talks with the media after practice. I don't want to call it a press conference necessarily, but one of his early conversations with the media after practice, we know he was been told by Charles Lee and the rest of the coaching staff, if you're open, if you have the shot, let it fly. Don't hesitate. Feel free to take those threes, take those jump shots. We know that Kalkbrenner can hit them, and if that is something he can learn to do at a high rate and continue to develop his shooting percentage, then I think that only benefits what he can bring to the Charlotte Hornets going forward. The big question is going to be, can he continue to develop all facets of his game, and how quickly can he become NBA ready? He may have to answer that question a little sooner than he wants this year, as he probably is going to be kind of thrown into the fire, thrown to the wolves, whatever you want to call it. He's going to be forced to play some big minutes in the NBA this season, in the regular season, and potentially into the playoffs if things go correct for the Hornets. One thing he should do almost immediately, though, is make the Hornets a better defensive team, especially on the inside, and paired up with Musa, who we know is already one of the better rebounders in the NBA and only getting better at that. Those two guys in the paint should be good at cleaning up the glass, grabbing rebounds, and making sure the Hornets get the opportunity to go back on offense after the other team shoots, and even, again, giving themselves second chances, third chances, whatever it may be, on the offensive glass as well. Both of those guys should be very important there. Kalkbrenner going forward is going to be vital for the Hornets' success in the paint. Now, again, we know, folks, it's August. It's the 18th of August, as a matter of fact. We're pretty much right in the middle of it. The rumor mill does not sleep this time of year. We know it is hot and heavy, and this weekend was no exception. We've got a brand new trade coming over the rumor mill. One of the more interesting, maybe exciting ones. We definitely have not heard this one yet. There's new names, new pieces, new teams involved. What I'm talking about is the Boston Celtics being mentioned as a team the Hornets could maybe make a trade with, add some pieces, get some assets from them as well. This one comes from the Sporting News over the weekend. They were obviously talking about the position that the Hornets are in, having lost Jason Tatum, kind of being in a limbo year, already moving on from guys like Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, letting those guys go. Maybe a bit of a roster reconstruction out in Boston. We know that they've got a lot of money floating around. They're going to have to pay some guys, so maybe they're working on a roster dump, a contract unload in Boston as well. That is where this mock trade is stemming from. Again, this is the most interesting one that I personally have seen this summer. We'll break it down right now. In this mock trade from the Sporting News, the Hornets would receive Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser. The Celtics would receive LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges. Again, that would mean the Hornets get Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser, while the Celtics receive LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges. Again, the Celtics, we know they're in a weird spot. They're trying to unload some contracts, move some guys around, so maybe, just maybe, that could be where these guys over at the Sporting News think this trade comes from. Maybe they think Jaylen Brown is available because of his big contract. And at first glance, this trade sounds like 2 thumbs up. Absolutely, let's move with that. That would work for sure. But when you break it down a little bit, it starts to become a little bit questionable. Not really sure if this is the right move for Charlotte after all in the first place. There would be multiple useful and proven championship players coming in this trade package. As we know, Peyton Pritchard is no slouch at all. He is very good in the NBA. He is a very important piece of the Celtics, was a vital piece of their 24 championship run. So adding a guy like him in addition to Jaylen Brown would be huge for any team. Sam Hauser, also a proven NBA player. He's had some good minutes out in Boston as well. We know he is a guy who can come in and make an impact on a roster pretty much right away. Now, Jaylen Brown, if you think about it, yes, his contract is huge, over a $300 million deal, and that would be a big ask for the Hornets to take on. But again, that's probably why, if available, he would be available from Boston in the first place. We know that he is also a superstar in the league, even despite being tucked next to Jason Tatum. He's still been able to kind of break out from behind the shadow of Jason Tatum. We know exactly what he is capable of doing. He had a fantastic finals performance when the Celtics were there and helped lead them to an NBA championship. So anytime a guy like that is thrown around as being added to your team, then you've got to at least take a look at it and consider it, break it down, things like that. If Brown is available and the Celtics do pick up the phone to make that call, then the Hornets should at least listen to it. But as we know, this is all just hypothetical mock stuff being thrown around. Now, one confusing thing about this to me, one I'm sure you guys have picked up on it as well, what it does is it would add more guards and wings to the Hornets roster. While, yes, we would get rid of two in LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges, it would bring in three with Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Jaylen Brown all being either a guard or a wing type of player. Hauser can kind of do both, but he is really a three in the NBA. So that doesn't fix the quote unquote big man issues that the Hornets are having, that every analyst and expert is saying they must address, they must fix now, they must do this, that, and the other. This trade would not address any of that. It wouldn't fix any of those problems. So that's the part where I get a little confused. That's the part where I start to get a little apprehensive and start to think maybe this isn't the best move for the Hornets. Again, it would require taking on a massive contract out of Jaylen Brown. While, yes, all three of these guys are young players in the NBA and they could have a big impact on this Hornets roster, I'm just not sure that this move is the right one either. You guys feel free to let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this mock trade down in the chat. I know we had a couple of just outrageously bad ones last week. This one, a little more interesting, got a little more firepower, a little more flair to some of the names that are involved. Let me know what you think about the possibility of moving LaMelo and Miles Bridges up to Boston for Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser. That'll be something we can talk about further on in the week going forward. We'll hear you guys' thoughts down in the chat. But that is going to do it for today's show. As always, folks, thanks so much for joining, watching along with us. If you haven't, please smash that subscribe button. Leave a like on the show. Feel free, like I said, to jump down in the comments section. Let me know what you think about some of these moves that are being made. What did you feel about the show today? We'd love to interact with you down there as always. Have a great rest of your Monday. Enjoy the day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for a brand new episode of Hornets Daily.